I don't know why JT Daniels wouldn't come here or that to Iowa or that Iowa would not pursue JT Daniels.
Okay, yeah, so there's the second question is a valid question. The first question is completely erroneous, Mark. That first question that you asked is completely erroneous
because of the second.
Right, yeah. Exactly, because for a player to come here, he has to first be wanted. The coaching staff has to first actually pursue said portal target.
Now, Corey, we've got a number of player transactions or potential transactions that you taken us down the road here. We also, in addition to the questions that we receive in the live chat during the show, of course, unfortunately, don't normally get to take on the questions that come into the channel throughout the week. So I'm going to filter through those and see if I can find us a few gems in addition to monitoring the live chat. I know you'll love this one. Somebody's got a paragraph to write, so I'm not going to sift through all that. But Lort 7 days ago makes this statement that Iowa fans need to understand that actual good quarterbacks are very hard to find.
Well, I mean, that's such a relative term, isn't it? A good quarterback. What is a good quarterback?
I don't think they're that hard to find.
Well, they're not that hard. If I you said ask how many good quarterbacks, there've been a lot of. I think if you're starting at a Power 5 school, I think most of those starters would be considered good quarterbacks, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I would refute this statement that it's just kind of a give up statement that you guys are obviously, this is the way I read into this, is that we're criticizing the football program for not pursuing a quarterback, and we need to realize that they're hard to find. Well, we can sit here for the next 3 or 4 minutes and list off teams all over the country that are finding them, and many of those programs are not at the level of Iowa.
Absolutely. I mean, Arizona is the first one on the list. Remember the situation with Arizona? I mean, they went out and got the reigning, SEC. What was the SEC?
Pac-12.
Oh, excuse me, Pac-12 freshman of the year. I don't know why I said SEC. Yeah, so reigning Pac-12 offensive player of the year in Jaden Delora. And I remember talking with Don Patterson about Delora, and he said that's hard to do as a freshman, as a quarterback, to be the freshman of the year as a quarterback. That's just not I can't imagine that being a real. I just can't imagine that happening very often because of the simple fact that usually freshmen aren't playing. And certainly, again, we can harp on it all we want, but Kirk made it clear during his press conference last Wednesday, and he wasn't asked specifically about the portal. I guess specifically at quarterback. I have to listen back to the conference. He probably mentioned something about the portal at some point. But he was asked the question mark. And this kind of, bothered me a bit. And I understand where he's coming from. I understand this is what he's going to say. But he was asked, Chad Leistico of the Des Moines Register asked him a very honest, very fair question. Basically, some fans, people on the outside believe that maybe a scheme change is in order for the offense. And Kirk responded basically in summary saying, well, I would point to the fact that we're, in the top 5 for most wins over the past 5 years. So, and that's the name of the game, was winning, Mark. So
the top 5 in the Big Ten.
No, nationally in win percentage.
In the last 5 years?
Since I believe he said 2015. I haven't went back to corroborate the stats, so maybe it's the last 6 years.
The top 5 in the nation in wins?
I don't know. Look it up, or maybe win percentage or wins. It's one of those two.
The same thing. But
10 wins this year, 6 wins in an 8-game season in 2020. He won 12 games in 2015. They won 8 games in 16.
I guarantee you, they do not have one of the top 5 winning percentages in the country since 2015. Even if you want to take it 2015,
they won 10 games in 2019. Oh, we look it up, Mark. Somebody look it up.
I don't know how you can look that up. You're going to have to take a handful of teams.
I'm sure he's not just blowing hot air. I'm sure there's substance behind it, but maybe I'm slightly misquoting him. I didn't really come prepared.
Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, they all have better winning percentages since 2015, easily. So that's right off the top of my head.
Okay, so maybe he's talking about Big Ten. Maybe I misunderstood. You're right. Obviously, he can't be talking nationally. He says in response, this is Kirk Ferentz, and I quote, I guess my answer would be we're third in wins since 15. I mentioned 15. Last 4 years, we were second in wins in the conference. That's the ultimate goal for us. It's not all about winning, but obviously when we line up and play on Saturdays, that's what we're trying to do, no matter who we're playing or where it is. You do get evaluated on that. I know it's a little bit more detailed now in the sophisticated world of evaluation, but for me, that's what I'm fixated on. If they got the ball 40 minutes and we've got it 20 and we win, I'm happy we won. I'm not happy about the way we won. I'd rather have the ball 40, but ultimately it's finding a way to win. And this is what really bothered me about the statement. I kind of identify with what San Francisco did 2 Saturdays ago. Block kick, block field goal, and then the punt. Maybe they didn't deserve to win, but they were playing last Sunday and the other team wasn't. But guess what, Mark? They're not playing this Sunday. So it's a bad analogy. It's a bad analogy. You're placing a ceiling. You're comparing yourself to a team that has placed a ceiling because of how it plays. San Francisco was never winning that Super Bowl, Mark. We all know that.
No.
They don't have the quarterback. They don't have the offense. So then he says maybe they didn't deserve to win. They were playing last Sunday and the other team wasn't. To me, that's what it's all about. Then we'll work through the things that are challenges, just like we've done every year. We've had challenges. That's what the game is all about. That's what we're looking at.
So
he must be talking Big Ten. So I apologize.
Regardless
Top 3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, regardless of the business or industry, if you are a competitor with, in Kirk's viewpoint, he doesn't look nationally. He's looking at the Big Ten, and that's fine. He's seeing 13 competitors. He's one of 14. His team, his corporation is one of 14. Fill in the blank of whatever you're producing. If you're competing in an industry, and if you're in the top 5 out of 14, you're number one, satisfied with that. Number two, you're not looking to correct the aspects of your company that are bringing you down to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th spot.
That's why football, I've said it a million times, Mark, football should never be evaluated strictly based off of wins and losses. There are things called national championships. You can go down the list. They're evaluating a football team is so much different than evaluating any other sport. Especially, I'm specifically college football, but even the NFL. A perfect example is, and we brought this up before, what Ohio State did during the season, right? They had lost one game to a good Oregon team, not a great Oregon team. That was not a good loss for Ohio State at home, but a good Oregon team. You lose one game at home and you fire your DC. I mean, why? Why, Mark? Ohio State has how many conference championships have they had in the last 6 years?
They fired the defensive coordinator because that portion of the team, the unit, the program, the organization is not producing.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that how you should evaluate? It's 3 teams in one, correct?
Yes. And just to extend on that particular example, the one portion of it, the offense, is arguably the best in the country. So it's being weighed down by a defense that's 40th in the country, 50th in the country. Okay, well, that cost them 2 games.
We cannot forsake or forget about the importance of special teams plays.
Yes.
And Iowa had one of the best kickers in the country in Caleb Shudak. They had one of the best punters in the country in Torrey Taylor, and they had one of the best kickoff and punt returners in Charlie Jones, Mark. So they were exceptional in that category. They were exceptional on defense. What they were not exceptional with, in fact, they were bad with, was the offense. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science, Mark. And maybe that is how it's being evaluated. That response bothered me a bit because the question was about how do you improve the offense? Could an offensive scheme change be in order? Mark, why would you answer again, I love Kirk Ferentz, but why would you answer a question about the offense with bringing up total team wins? That doesn't answer the question, does it?
No. It basically says that we run the program the way we do, and all that matters is the final results, and we're satisfied with the final result.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the Kirk Ferentz fans, because I am a Kirk Ferentz fan, and if you're mad that I'm saying this, I'm sorry, but I did not approve of that. I did not appreciate that answer. Nobody cares if I approve of it, but I did not like the answer. I didn't think it was a good answer. And
I agree.
people need to be held accountable for their. I mean, like you getting paid millions of dollars to run the program, you got to be held accountable. And Kirk brought that up when someone asked him about Brian Ferentz being criticized, and he said, "Well, when you get paid, you deserve to be criticized." So, I mean, if Brian Ferentz, who's making just under $1 million a year, deserves to be criticized, then I think Kirk Ferentz, who's making multi-millions every year, I think he can take the criticism. And it was not a good answer.